Feeling burnt out from putting in the hours but still not seeing your bank balance grow? Ever wonder why your smarts don't seem to translate into financial success? Well, it's time to shift the focus from intellect to habits. Don't fret though, mastering these money habits is simpler than you might think. In this video, I'm breaking down the 18 essential money insights from Morgan Housel's The Psychology of Money. Stick around, and you'll learn how to sidestep common financial pitfalls, gauge your financial well-being, and pave the way to financial freedom. So, hit that subscribe button and let's cruise towards that sweet financial independence boulevard. Chapter 1 kicks things off by reminding us that nobody should be labeled as crazy when it comes to handling finances. Money holds incredible power worldwide, shaping our lives in countless ways. Each person approaches money uniquely, and these differences doesn't mean that this person is crazy. Essentially, your perspective on money is entirely your own, and it may be completely different from others. In fact, while listening or reading to others offer valuable insights into managing money, they can't cover everything. There's a significant gap between reading about something and putting it into practice. Real understanding comes from first-hand experience. For example, imagine you won the lottery and live it up for years, believing money can buy happiness, security, and respect. So your lifestyle screams luxury: fancy cars, mansions, designer clothes, and exotic vacations. You're generous, sharing your wealth with loved ones and charities. Life feels like a dream, and you're convinced others envy you. Then, the unexpected strikes. You lose most of your fortune due to a bad investment, lawsuit, or divorce. The IRS demands unpaid taxes. Friends and family may distance themselves. Suddenly, you're left with no savings, skills, or direction. How do you process this turn of events? What's your explanation? How do you react? You might be wrestling with feelings of sadness, hopelessness, or even a tinge of shame. Blaming the world, others, or yourself might feel like the easiest route. You could find yourself caught up in destructive habits or thoughts that put you at risk. On the flip side, you might summon the courage to hit the reset button, starting anew from square one. But hey, what if we approach this from a fresh angle? What if we recognize that your take on money isn't nuts, just different? What if you could appreciate that others have their own unique experiences, beliefs, and biases that color how they see money? What if we could just nod along to their choices even if they're not our thing? This lesson is like a gentle reminder to keep an open mind, be a bit kinder, and not take ourselves too seriously, especially when it comes to money. It's also a handy tool to sidestep those pesky financial slip-ups like overspending, ignoring risks, or getting a bit too full of ourselves. When we realize that no one's completely off the rails, it's like discovering a whole new way to navigate our own money journey. So, instead of getting bogged down by the bumps, keep those spirits up, shake off the funk, and tackle those tasks head-on. With a dash of confidence and a sprinkle of resilience, success is just waiting to be grabbed. Chapter 2. And let's not forget luck and risk, the dynamic duo of financial fate. The author makes a fascinating point that luck and risk are like close siblings, tagging along on everyone's financial journey. Take the story of Bill Gates, for instance. He lucked out with early access to computers, a golden opportunity that set the stage for his tech empire. Now, luck has been a hot topic in the success debate. Some argue it's the secret sauce, while others swear by hard work. But what really matters is how we define luck. If you could pick the brains of top entrepreneurs, what would they say got them to the top? Sure, they'd talk about the grind, the sacrifices, the classic rags to riches tale. But here's the twist. They often forget to mention the folks who gave them a leg up. For example, ever heard the tale of Gates and Allen? Bill Gates and Paul Allen were like two peas in a pod when it came to their love for computers. Back in the day, they met at a fancy Seattle private school that had this super cool computer lab, setting them apart from the rest. They'd spend ages coding and creating software just for kicks. Their shared dream of revolutionizing personal computing led them to kickstart Microsoft together. But here's the twist. Luck and risk played a huge role in their journey. Gates lucked out with supportive parents who had his back when he dropped out of Harvard to pursue his business dreams. Meanwhile, Allen faced the tough hand of being diagnosed with cancer in '82, which forced him to step back from Microsoft. Plus, Gates was all about that ambitious hustle, while Alan took a more cautious approach and had varied interests. Their differences eventually led them down different paths. Luck and risk weren't just side notes, they were the stars of their financial success and personal journeys. Sure, Gates soared to become one of the richest folks on the planet, but he also had his fair share of legal battles and public drama. Alan, after battling cancer, racked up some serious cash but struggled with personal demons like addiction and loneliness. Their story? A roller coaster of highs and lows shaped not just by their business moves, but also by the twists and turns of fate. Chapter 3. Never Enough. So in this chapter, Housel dives into this idea of enough and how our egos and comparing ourselves to others can throw a wrench in our financial happiness. Let's peek into the lives of two pretty big names. John D. Rockefeller, known as the richest person ever, and Rajat Gupta, a former hotshot at McKinsey, to see how even these high flyers can get tripped up by greed and envy. Rockefeller was rolling in it with a whopping $300 billion in today's dough from his oil ventures, and he was all about giving back too, tossing millions at various causes. But here's the kicker. He was never satisfied. Starting with a retirement goal of $100 million, he quickly bumped it up to a cool billion when he hit that mark. Plus, he wrestled with anxiety, depression, and health issues most of his life. Now, Gupta was no slouch either. As a former McKinsey exec, he was sitting on a fortune north of $100 million. But get this. He was green with envy over his billionaire buddies and wanted in on their exclusive club. So he took a risky turn down the road of insider trading to impress them. Long story short, it backfired big time, costing him everything, his rep, his freedom, even his family. Now he's stuck doing time and facing deportation. These stories really hit home how chasing more money can lead to a whole heap of trouble, from stress and depression to envy, greed, and even legal woes. Housel's take: let's forget about trying to keep up with the Joneses and figure out what enough really means for us, based on our own needs and values. Gratitude and giving back could just be the secret sauce to finding more joy, fulfillment, and meaning in life. Chapter 4. Confounding Compounding. Imagine compounding as the magic ingredient that turns small drops into an ocean. Morgan Housel, in his book, brings this concept to life, showing how tiny additions over time can snowball into colossal outcomes. He uses a fascinating array of examples from nature and history to illustrate this phenomenon, making it relatable and understandable. Take Warren Buffett, for instance. We all know him as one of the wealthiest individuals globally, but what many don't realize is that the majority of his fortune was amassed after he turned 50. His secret? Compounding. Buffett understood the power of long-term investing, likening his life to a snowball rolling downhill, gaining momentum and size with each passing year. The key lesson here is patience and consistency. Whether it's in investing or any other aspect of life, small actions repeated over time can yield remarkable results. But it's not just about the positive. Compounding works both ways. If we're not careful, it can also amplify negative habits like overspending or delaying savings for retirement. So, the takeaway: start now, be consistent, and let compounding work its magic. Whether you're saving for retirement or building wealth, harnessing the power of compounding can pave the way to financial success. Looking to compound your wealth with savvy investments? Hop on board for some money magic. Subscribe now for a wild ride filled with smart investment secrets that'll have your bank account doing cartwheels. Chapter 5. Let's chat about the next lesson: getting wealthy versus staying wealthy. Here, Housel dishes out some real talk about how making money is one thing, but keeping it is a whole other ballgame. He points out that while many folks focus on hustling to build their wealth, they often overlook the crucial step of maintaining it. And guess what? Keeping those riches safe and sound requires a mix of frugality and a healthy dose of paranoia. Sounds like a winning combo, right? Think about it. Ever heard those stories of lottery winners or folks who inherited a fortune only to blow through it in no time? Yeah, those are prime examples of getting rich but not staying that way. They didn't quite grasp how to manage their money wisely or shield it from life's curveballs. Now, on the flip side, there are those savvy individuals who save, invest wisely, and live comfortably for the long haul. Or how about those generous souls who use their wealth to make a positive impact on the world? These are the ones who've mastered the art of staying wealthy. Here's the kicker: Getting rich often requires taking risks and staying hopeful, while staying wealthy is all about being cautious and, dare I say, a tad pessimistic. It's like balancing on a tightrope between optimism and caution. So, the key takeaway? Don't get caught up in the trap of spending to impress others. Instead, focus on what truly brings you joy and fulfillment. After all, true wealth isn't just about the numbers in your bank account, it's about living a rich and meaningful life. Let's talk about Chapter 6. Tales you win with a fun twist. In this chapter, Housel discusses the significance of rare game-changing events in finance, which he refers to as tales. Okay, so picture this. You're cruising along in life, doing your thing, and suddenly, bam, you hit the jackpot. Sounds pretty cool, right? Well, that's exactly what this chapter is all about. Those rare, jaw-dropping moments of financial success that seem to come out of nowhere. Take Walt Disney, for instance. Who would have thought that a guy doodling cartoons would end up building an entertainment empire? Talk about a fairy tale come true. These kinds of stories aren't just cool anecdotes. They're proof that sometimes life throws you a curveball that changes everything in an instant. These tales, though rare and unpredictable, are like the universe's way of reminding us that anything is possible. Sure, they might not happen every day, but when they do, they have the power to shake up the status quo and rewrite the rules of the game. So, what's the lesson here? Well, for starters, it's all about staying humble and open-minded. It reminds us that success doesn't always follow a predictable path, and that being open-minded to unexpected opportunities is crucial. After all, you never know when your big break might come knocking. And hey, even if you're not hitting the jackpot every day, just remember, it only takes a few big wins to change the game. So keep dreaming, stay curious, and who knows, maybe you'll be the next star of your own financial fairy tale. Chapter 7, Freedom. Controlling your time is definitely the ultimate reward money can provide. Morgan Housel highlights in his book that one of the greatest assets anyone can possess is the freedom to live life on their terms, waking up each day with the liberty to do whatever they desire, whenever they want, with whomever they choose, for as long as they wish. Do you resonate with this notion? Chapter 8. Moving on to the man in the car paradox, it's a real eye-opener. Have you ever caught yourself admiring someone's flashy car and imagining yourself in their shoes? Well, Morgan Housel challenges us to think differently. He suggests that while those luxurious cars might seem appealing, they could lead us away from our long-term financial goals and true happiness. Take Tom's story, for instance. His dream of owning a Ferrari seemed like the pinnacle of success. After years of dedication and disciplined saving, he finally reached his goal. Tom envisioned himself driving down the road, basking in the admiration and envy of his peers and clients. But Tom's Ferrari dream didn't quite rev up the way he expected. Some people admired the car, but others gave him the side eye, assuming he was a show-off or worse. It was like his car became a magnet for unfair judgments and raised eyebrows. Tom's Ferrari joyride hit a speed bump when he saw the financial fine print. Insurance, repairs, parking fees. It was like his wallet was on a crash diet, and the stress of keeping his pride and joy safe, that drove him up a wall. In a moment of clarity, Tom recognized that he had invested a significant amount of money into something that didn't bring him the happiness or fulfillment he had imagined. He wished he'd splurged on adventures, learning new tricks, or spreading some joy instead. In the end, Tom hit the brakes on his Ferrari fantasy. He traded it in for a ride that didn't come with all the bells and whistles, but also without the stress. It was like unloading a heavy load from his shoulders and hitting the open road with a sense of freedom. So, let's take a cue from Tom and focus on what truly brings us joy and fulfillment, shall we? Chapter 9. Wealth is what you don't see. Morgan Housel's wisdom teaches us that true wealth often lurks in the shadows, unseen by the glitz and glam of society's spotlight. In a world obsessed with instant gratification and flashy displays, it's easy to get swept up in the allure of materialism. We're bombarded with images of opulence from celebrities and influencers, leaving many of us green with envy. But what we often overlook are the untold tales of hard work, sacrifice, and even failure that lie beneath the surface of their seemingly perfect lives. It's like a game of hide and seek where the real treasures are hidden in plain sight. Instead of being dazzled by the shiny objects, it's crucial to take a step back and reflect. What does wealth and happiness truly mean to you? Are you spending your hard-earned cash on things that genuinely bring joy? Or are you simply chasing after superficial status symbols? Let's turn the tables and ask ourselves some thought-provoking questions. How do you resist the temptation to splurge on things that don't truly bring happiness? How do you navigate the tricky waters of comparison, steering clear of those who may seem rich but are actually poor in what matters most? And most importantly, how do you use your resources to craft a life filled with meaningful experiences and genuine fulfillment rather than just stuff and status? It's time to uncover the hidden treasures of true wealth and happiness that lie within each of us. In Chapter 10, Saving Money. This is the most important thing of all that you can do to build wealth. You might think the amount you save only depends on factors like your income or spending habits. But guess what? According to our wise author, there's one thing that matters most: how much money you keep in your pocket. Saving money isn't just about stacking up numbers, it's also about your mindset. Are you humble and confident, or proud and insecure? These attitudes can make a world of difference when it comes to tucking away those hard-earned bucks. Now, saving doesn't mean living like a hermit and depriving yourself of joy. It's about making choices that bring genuine happiness. Take, for instance, your shopping-loving friend. She splurges on clothes, shoes, and gadgets every month, believing they bring her happiness. But does she really need all that stuff? On the flip side, your budget-savvy friend keeps track of every penny, buying only what she truly needs or occasionally treats herself. Why? Because she values responsibility and respects herself for it. And you know what? She's able to stash away a tidy sum because she understands the importance of saving. So remember, building wealth isn't just about raking in cash, it's about holding on to what you've got. And that, my friend, is the true secret to financial success. Reasonable rational. Lesson 11 takes us on a journey through the wild world of investing, but with a twist. Forget about being ice-cold rational when it comes to your financial decisions. Morgan Housel suggests we aim for being just pretty reasonable instead. Why? Because being reasonably rational is not only more down-to-earth, but it also helps us sleep better at night. Housel shares a personal story about how he visualized his future regrets if he didn't jump on a hot stock market trend, or if he went all in and it tanked. So what did he do? He split his investment contribution 50-50 between bonds and equities to balance out the risks. But here's the fun part. Investing isn't just about numbers on a screen. Nope. There's a whole social side to it that often gets overlooked. Think about it. Would you rather make a decision based on cold, hard data or in a conference room surrounded by coworkers who look up to you, or with a spouse you don't want to disappoint? Housel reminds us that we're not robots, we're human. We want to keep things simple and we have a lot on our plates, so while day trading or picking individual stocks might not be the most rational move, they could scratch an itch that helps us leave our more diversified investments alone. And here's a curveball. Even the legendary investor John Bogle, who preached the gospel of low-cost index investing, threw some money into his son's high-fee hedge fund. Why? Well, sometimes we do things for family reasons, even if they don't quite add up on paper. So the next time you're making financial decisions, don't stress about being perfectly rational. Aim to be just pretty reasonable instead, and you might find yourself sleeping a lot better at night. So subscribe to this channel to stay informed and stay flexible, stay diversified, and stay cool as a cucumber. Chapter 12. Surprise. This chapter is like a reality check, reminding us that the future is always uncertain, especially when it comes to money and investing. No matter how much we plan, there will always be surprises and curveballs thrown our way. It's a gentle nudge to stay humble and cautious in our financial decisions. The COVID-19 pandemic serves as a perfect example of this unpredictability. It blindsided the entire world, shaking up economies, businesses, and individual lives in ways no one could have anticipated. But amidst the chaos, it also spurred innovation and forced us to adapt to new ways of living and working. So, it's not about being able to predict every twist and turn, but rather about being resilient and resourceful when challenges arise. It's about staying flexible and open to change, and being willing to adjust our strategies as circumstances evolve. After all, in the face of uncertainty, adaptability is our greatest asset. Chapter 13. Room for error. The author serves up some serious wisdom here. You are not your investments. That's right, folks. Don't let your investment returns define who you are. Sometimes we get so emotionally wrapped up in our investments that we end up making decisions based on feelings rather than facts. Take, for example, that stock you were convinced would skyrocket, but instead, it took a nosedive. If you let panic take the wheel, you might sell at a loss, and that's definitely not the road to financial success. So, what's the secret sauce? Well, it's all about separating your sense of self from your investment portfolio. Your worth and intelligence don't hinge on how your stocks perform. Instead, set some clear goals and stick to a long-term plan and spread your investments around like confetti. And whatever you do, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Keep some cash handy for rainy days. You never know when you might need it. Sure, we all want to be rolling in dough and sipping champagne on a yacht, but true financial success is about more than just flashy status symbols. It's about finding peace of mind and security. So let's ditch the stress and focus on building a solid financial foundation that'll weather any storm. Cheers to that. Chapter 14. You'll change. Morgan Housel serves up a truth bomb. We're all on a wild ride of transformation. Turns out we tend to underestimate just how much we'll evolve over time, and that includes our financial needs and desires. Think of life like a roller coaster. You start off in one place, but along the way, you're in for twists, turns, and loop-de-loops. So why stick to the same old route or map we drew up when we were young? Life's all about exploring new paths and destinations, baby. And here's the kicker. Don't go assuming you've got it all figured out. Who knows where we'll end up or what we'll want in the future? Keep an open mind because surprises are just around the corner. So grab your popcorn and enjoy the ride. It's gonna be a wild one. Chapter 15. Nothing's free. Nothing in life is free, especially when it comes to investing. It requires paying a price in terms of money and emotions. The author serves up a reality check. Investing in the stock market isn't a walk in the park. It's more like a roller coaster ride. Up and down we go, with moments of joy and moments of despair. But hey, the journey ain't over until we reach our destination. So buckle up and enjoy the ride, but keep your wits about you. There are bound to be bumps and twists along the way. Don't get swept up in the crowd or take reckless risks. That's a surefire way to crash and burn. Take buying a house, for example. Sure, it's a big investment that can offer comfort and security, but it also comes with a hefty price tag. Mortgages, taxes, insurance, you name it. Sometimes the value goes up and you're on cloud nine, but other times it takes a nosedive, leaving you feeling blue. Don't jump on the bandwagon just because everyone else is doing it. Find a house that fits your needs and budget and be prepared for the unexpected. Chapter 16. You and Me. In this chapter, Housel gives us a heads up about blindly following advice from people with different goals and mindsets. Bubbles in the market are hard to fully explain, but he brings up a key reason often overlooked that applies personally to us. Investors often innocently follow cues from others playing a different game than they are. Let's break it down with an example. So, what's the fair price for a Google share right now? Well, it depends on who you are and what game you're playing. If you're in it for the long haul, you might crunch numbers over 30 years. But if you're eyeing a quick buck, you'll look at today's trends. Day traders, they're like, who cares as long as I make a profit by noon? The takeaway? Investors have different goals, and what seems crazy to one might make sense to another. Bubbles mess things up when long-term investors start taking cues from short-term traders. And let's not forget how others' spending habits mess with our heads. We see fancy cars, big houses, and lavish vacations, and suddenly we're spending to keep up. But we often miss their goals and worries behind the scenes. So, Housel's advice? Figure out your own investment game. Once you do, you'll stop sweating the small stuff and focus on what really matters. Short-term trading or long-term investing. Know your game, stick to it, and don't let others sway you. Chapter 17. The Seduction of Pessimism. It's like a siren song that lures us into its gloomy embrace, promising logic and evidence but delivering nothing but trouble. This chapter spills the beans on how tempting it can be to fall into the trap of pessimism, but also how dangerous it is to our financial well-being. Here's the deal. We shouldn't bury our heads in the sand and pretend like problems don't exist, but we also shouldn't let pessimism cloud our judgment and make us miss out on golden opportunities. It's all about finding that sweet spot between acknowledging the risks and believing in the potential for things to get better. Take investing in the stock market, for example. You've done your homework, built a diversified portfolio, but then the headlines start screaming about an imminent market crash. It's like a horror movie trailer for your finances. But don't let fear take the wheel and steer you away from your long-term goals. Remember, knee-jerk reactions rarely lead to financial success. And let's not forget about starting a business. Sure, it's not all rainbows and sunshine. There are risks, challenges, and uncertainties lurking around every corner. But that doesn't mean you should throw in the towel before you even begin. Instead, approach it with a mix of optimism and realism. Have a solid plan, work hard, and be prepared to learn from your stumbles along the way. So, the moral of the story? Stay hopeful, stay grounded, and remember that while success might not be easy, it's definitely within reach for those who dare to dream and hustle. Chapter 18. When you'll believe anything. Ah, the power of stories. They're like the Jedi mind tricks of the human psyche, weaving tales that captivate our hearts and minds. But, as Housel reminds us, behind every story lies a tangled web of truths, half-truths, and outright fabrications. Think of it like this. Our brains are like overeager bouncers at a club, letting in the cool kids, i.e. information that aligns with our beliefs, while kicking out the nerds, i.e. anything that challenges our worldview. It's a filter that can leave us blissfully ignorant or woefully misinformed. So, what's a truth-seeking adventurer to do? Well, for starters, don't believe everything you hear or read, especially if it comes with a side of confirmation bias. Keep those skepticism antennas up and running, and always be on the lookout for alternative perspectives. And hey, while we're at it, let's not fall for the sweet whispers of those who promise to tell us exactly what we want to hear. They might have their own agenda lurking beneath the surface, like a wolf in sheep's clothing. Take diets, for instance. They're like the Kardashians of the wellness world, flashy, trendy, and oh so popular. But just because everyone's hopping on the keto train doesn't mean it's the right fit for you. Do your homework, consult the experts, not just Instagram influencers, and listen to your body's cues. In the end, it's all about staying curious, staying open-minded, and staying true to yourself, even if it means admitting that maybe, just maybe, you don't have all the answers. After all, isn't life just one big choose-your-own-adventure story? By the way, if you've enjoyed this summary of the psychology of money and want to read it yourself, or revisit some key points in the future, check out the link in the description. Don't forget to spread the love by sharing this video. You never know who it might help. Morgan Housel sheds light on how our emotions, biases, and experiences influence our financial decisions. It's akin to unraveling a mystery where each choice reveals a key to our financial future. Remember, friends, money isn't just about digits and decimal points. It's a mirror reflecting our inner psyche and personality. This gem of a book can help you spot those mental traps and dodge financial fiascos like a pro. Hit that subscribe button and let's make those money moves together. Drop a with your thoughts, and I'll catch you in the next one. Stay curious, stay sharp, and cheers to your financial journey.